Hey, everybody. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their evening and stopping by to see us. My name is Ron McAdams. I am a kind of a person that has only been coming to Kansas Fest for a few years, but I love this event. And I am someone who is a booster for its continued success. So I thought that it would be great to get here tonight and get everybody together and have a little chat. How about we go ahead and go around the room and do some quick introductions, starting with Chris.
All right, I'm Chris Torrance, and I've been involved with Kansas Fest, I think, since 2015, if I can recall correctly. And so I've been on the committee for about 5 years now, and I also have a YouTube channel as well as a store where you can buy fun T-shirts.
Peter.
Thank you, Ron. I'm Peter Neubauer. I first started coming to Kansas Fest in 2009. At that point, I had known about Kansas Fest for many years. Wanted to come, wanted to continue my love of the Apple II. Apple II, particularly the Apple IIc Plus, was my first introduction to computing. And then finally, 2009, I had the chance to come to Kansas Fest, and I've been coming ever since. Right now, I am the president of Kansas Fest. I've been part of the planning committee and board for many years prior to that.
Sean.
I'm Sean Fahey. I'm the outgoing president. I've been involved with Kansas Fest since 1998, and I've been on the committee for about 20 years, off and on.
Martin.
Hi everyone, I'm Martin Doherty. I've been coming to Kansas Fest every year since 2018, and I'm a fairly new committee member. I joined in late 2023.
Javier.
Oh, hi, I'm Javier Rivera. I've been coming to Kansas Fest, I think, since 2014, something like that, and I've been involved with the committee for about 4 years maybe. That's it.
Very nice. I want to thank everybody for their contributions in putting together a really fun event. I watched from afar for many years and kind of thought that it was too far away, that it was, even if it was just maybe a 6-hour drive, that it was just like, it was big time investment. And so, but I wanted to go, and then we had the pandemic. And then after that, I was like, absolutely, I've got to get there. And I would still say that some of the friendships that I've made through Kansas Fest are they're deep and they're lasting. And I thank everybody that's sitting on this chat right now, and a lot of our folks that are at home for their friendship and the time that they've taken to enhance this hobby over the years. Thank you all. I want to go ahead and maybe just take a second. We'll do a quick set of hellos to people in chat. I wanted to say hello to the Code Monsieur. Kat is here. Eric Knock TDW, Apple 2GS, Edward Wilson, John Van Welliken. Sorry, didn't mean to butcher it. Jeff Wilder, Jamie's Hack Shack, Mark Lamette, Jay Rand is here. Floppy Days podcast. Dan Malik, Dennis is here, and Garth Beagle, and we've got lots of great people that have stopped by to see us this evening, including folks from Down Under. So Oz Case Fest is here as well. So let's go ahead and maybe let's set a little bit of the groundwork for what tonight is about, what this town hall is going to set out to accomplish. And let me get to my notes here. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands what tonight represents. And tonight is a readjustment of how K-Fest communicates with the community. The only way to know what people are thinking is to ask them and then to listen to what they have to say. Feedback is a gift, and not responding to good faith feedback can have consequences concerning the amount of trust that people put in you. That could be a Fortune 500 company or a volunteer organization. It doesn't matter. Trust is earned through good faith action, not words. The feedback that I and others have presented to the committee was that real and meaningful change was going to be required to win back that trust that was lost by not listening to community feedback. Kansas Fest will only survive by widening the tent and ensuring that it is a welcome and inclusive place for a hobby that is really undergoing a lot of demographic changes. The only way forward is by telling newcomers that we see them, we hear them, and we respect their humanity. Here's what tonight is not going to represent: a one-way channel for Kansas Fest committee to talk over people that are trying to provide constructive criticism or positive and actionable suggestions on how to improve communication and keep moving forward. I and others are going to be monitoring the chat tonight as questions come in, and we'll be doing our best to select as many as we can that will be presented near the end of the town hall so that we can have, again, that two-way conversation. Tonight, not a venue to grind axes over interpersonal conflicts. Those disagreements are private for a reason and should likely stay that way. Protect your legacy. Don't be baited into some grand display that only serves to alienate people who are not part of that conflict. We are all human beings, and we're not going to agree on every single issue. But for any of us to continue to drink poison in hopes that the other person is going to die is counterproductive. We have so little time on this earth, and we have so much to accomplish. We just need to be kind to one another. So with all of that said, again, I wanted to thank the committee for being here. I wanted to thank chat for being here. Let's start with some questions. So I have one here for Peter. What has been happening with the K-Fest event planning, and what can virtual attendees expect to see at this year's event?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot's been happening. I know the pivot from an in-person event to a virtual event has been challenging this year. I think it's the right path for this year. We'll talk more about subsequent years and return to in-person later. Right now, I'll focus on what's going on this year. Right now, we have 2 packed days of sessions. We have featured speakers with Jeff Mazur and with Dan Bricklin. We're gearing up right now with t-shirts. We just posted the t-shirt design yesterday. That's available for purchase now. We're putting in orders for 2 promotional pins, and we'll have those up in our store shortly. We're standing up Discord. We're participating in the conversations in Discord, both about the event this year, as well as longer term questions about the future of the event. And I think we're at an important point to look forward to the future of Kansas Fest, because everybody here, both the organizers of the event as well as the attendees, came here for the Apple II, but we stayed for the people. It's the volunteers who make Kansas Fest happen and have made it happen for decades are doing this because they want to preserve and share the friendships and the community that they found. I appreciate that everyone's willing to not only put that work in for those in-person events, but also for the virtual events. The people who make Kansas Fest possible are you. The people who show up with the passion, the ideas, the presentations, whether it's a formal presentation or that passion project that you finally found somebody that you want to share it with. So I'm looking forward to this year. I'm looking forward to continuing to meet everyone in person in subsequent years. I know these past few years have been challenging for our conference. I know we've made some mistakes as organizers, but we're listening. We're working to change. This town hall is part of those changes. The change in the committee composition are another piece of that. And we'll likely be adding additional people to the planning committee over the next several months to meet those demands, to bring the right skill set to continue the event for, well, forever. Just like, well, Apple once said Apple II forever, but we found that Kansas Fest is now going on longer than even the Apple II was.
That's great. And it's and I hope that it continues on for many, many years. It's such a fun hobby. There's so many great and amazing people that make big contributions, new hardware every year. It's It's something people are so passionate about, and that's why I love it. You had kind of broached a little bit about what was going to be going on this year. Have the speakers for this year's event been completely selected, or is there still time to like submit sessions? Maybe Chris, you might be able to answer this one.
Sure. Yeah, and before I start that, actually, I just wanted to thank Ron for hosting tonight's event and just kind of shepherding us through this process, including with StreamYard too, which is a new platform for us. So thanks, Ron. And then also I should note that I saw John Conrad's name on here. So he is also going to be one of our featured speakers at this year's event. And speaking of the speakers, so right now the schedule is full. So we have, as Peter noted, we have 2 full days. So Saturday and Sunday are completely full. However, we have potentially time in the evenings. And so this would include Friday evening, Saturday evening, and also possibly Sunday evening. In other years, when we've done the virtual Kansas Fest, we've actually had events, kind of unplanned events during those times. So we've had like game marathons or people just demoing stuff just for fun. We have a very active Discord channel. In fact, this afternoon I was looking at it, and the dorm lobby had something like 200 messages within 1 hour. So it is perhaps that was related to tonight's event, but at the same time, it's very active, and there's lots of people on there. And then there's also some video channels that we have created on there as well. And so during the event, you're welcome to jump on those either after hours or just get a group together whenever you want to. We'll be sending out more information about how to get on the Discord if you aren't already on it. But as long as you've registered for the event, then you should get a link and all the information you need to jump on that.
Great. This might be a tough one, but the event was rather abruptly moved from being an in-person event to going strictly virtual this year. Was it a hard decision to pivot away from being in person? And do you feel that it was a good decision for the Kansas Fest community? Chris, do you want to do this one too?
Sure. Yeah, so I don't really necessarily want to get into too many details about how the decision initially came about for Wichita versus Springfield. There was a lot of back and forth on that. There was a lot of pros and cons for both locations. And, we tried Springfield in 2024. It was really good. It was a nice venue, it seemed to go smoothly. The facilities were nice. There were some issues. The bathrooms were not great. They didn't really have very good ADA accommodations for the bathrooms, but overall it was a good location. And then Wichita also had some really good pluses to it. It was in Kansas near the location of the garage giveaway items. And so it actually would have made it a lot easier to get all of the, if you don't know, every year at Kansas Fest, we try to have a selection of free items. So computer software, monitors, always tons of Image Writer 2 printers to select. And so we
free boat anchor with purchase. I get it.
Yes, a boat. Yes, exactly. And so we try to do that every year. And so it would have made it a lot easier to get those items to there. And, again, the campus was really nice. However, it really became apparent that once we had released the decision that we were going to Wichita, there was, a very large outcry from the community. And it was mainly related to the situation in Kansas itself. Nothing to do with Wichita per se or the campus, but just the climate of Wichita. And in talking with the committee, it really came down to there was kind of a fairly even split in the committee itself, and we really could not come to a consensus as to what was the right thing to do. And it finally, I think it was actually Sean who made the proposal to actually go virtual. And I think while it was hard, and I'm sure it's been disappointing for lots of people, in some sense, I think it actually really was the best choice. I think we could have potentially gone to Wichita, this year. I think we would have limped along. We would have lost quite a few people. We probably would have gained a few people. But in terms of having a functioning committee, I think it would not have solved any issues. And I think we would still be in the same boat next year in terms of trying to make decisions. And by going virtual and just kind of, I don't know, really putting a reset on the whole event, we've made everyone on the committee and hopefully in the community just kind of think about, how do we want to participate? Do we want to participate? What level of commitment? And I think overall, it's going to be a lot better. And we're going to come out a lot stronger just for having made that decision.
Well, I hope that that's the case. I know that there were, not to rehash anything. Again, one of my favorite movies is Meet the Robinsons. It is like Disney's first CGI animated thing that they did. That was like a full CGI movie, and like the elevator pitch of the movie is that you have this family that were just kind of like doers, and they were just wanting to keep moving forward. That's kind of the thing that they said. Let's keep moving forward. And there is a character in the movie that wastes their whole life just being upset about the kind of the relationship that he had with this other young boy, and he squanders his youth worrying about that. And I really hope that it's one of those situations where it's a very tough decision was made. I do not envy anybody that was part of making that decision, to have to make that decision. But now that it is made, rehashing it, being mad about it, and things like that, I don't know what that helps. I'm very, very happy to hear that moving forward, that it's going to be a more open process, that's going to be more inclusive, and be more willing to listen to the feedback of the community, because those are the people that ultimately come. This is a fun club meeting that you can get a core group of people. But I think when you get new people there, that you go and you see their first time. Last year I did some interviews with people that had never been to a K-Fest before, and they were all just so blown away by the amount of expertise that the event attracts, by the quality of the talks, by just the camaraderie, and people that were not afraid to just be like, oh, you're brand new? Get over here and see this thing that I'm working on. And you can go to a VCF Midwest, or you can go to like something huge, these huge events, and feel very insignificant. And even my very first year that I went to K-Fest, I felt like I had already was old friends with people that I had just met for the first time. So anything that helps bring us back to that type of thing is going to be, I'm sure, greatly appreciated, not only by myself, but lots of other people in the community. So Peter, that was my feedback. What type of other feedback did you receive from other people in the community?
Yeah, nobody likes the virtual only option this year, but the feedback I've gotten, and my personal feeling as well, is that given where we were, it was the best option forward. It's This virtual only year is an opportunity for us to step back, reflect where we want to go, and open up the venue search process to the community. I think a big part of the criticism we received in the past is that decisions appear to come out magically from the committee, and there isn't an awareness of the substantial discussion that goes on behind that, the thoughtfulness, the commitment to the vision of Kansas Fest. But then there also isn't the opportunity for the organizers to hear what's important to attendees and what's important to the community. So historically, there's been a disconnect there. And I think this is an opportunity for us to step back and improve that communication, do better, and look forward to subsequent years. I think that the virtual event will be excellent. I look forward to the presentations. I'm excited by many of them. I'm excited to see how much people are still doing for the Apple II that I wouldn't have thought ever possible. And I look forward to other feedback, look forward to other thought.
Chris, do you want to read the next question?
Sure. So I've heard that this year's event will be foregoing Zoom and using a new platform. Ron, would you tell us a little bit about that?
Why, thanks, Chris. Yes. Zoom is great. Don't get me wrong. I have sat in literally hundreds of Zoom meetings since the pandemic, and it's okay. It's okay. That's the highest praise I can give it. I would say that a platform like StreamYard and leveraging something like YouTube definitely opens up opportunities for people to be able to watch the event in more convenient ways. With Zoom, I always felt like I was tied to a laptop or I was tied to an office chair to watch virtual K-Fest or all of that. But being able to load up the YouTube app on an iPad and sit with an interface designed for that type of thing. I mean, I recognize there's a Zoom iPad app, but by default, there's a lot of things turned on, like, oh, it's switching speakers. It's very disconjointed. It's not a clean sort of thing like what we're experiencing tonight. I like the fact that on the Apple TV, I can just load the YouTube app and I can watch a stream of whatever it is that I'm wanting to watch. So I think that the tools have changed a lot since that very first virtual K-Fest, and there are some things that have some nice, slick production value sort of things, but then also are going to help us reach more people. Just because, it will be a private stream on YouTube for Kansasfest, but after the event and things like that, we'll be able to take that video and cut things down into segments, or just have like a mega stream or whatever that the committee and the planning folks make those decisions at a later time. But yeah, I really like it. I think StreamYard is a really, really great tool. I've been using it for several years now, and I think that it is going to be a nice thing for Kansasfest to kind of upgrade their streaming to. So, and I hope that folks at home will agree. This is our first year. This will be the first year using this, so there may be a few little technical hurdles that we'll have to jump through. But between myself, Javier, I know other folks are working to better familiarize themselves with the product. That between that, we will have a really good knowledge base and experience base. So if we have to shift around duties or anything at a given moment, that there won't be too big of an interruption. So I will do my best to do well with all of this, and I appreciate everybody's confidence in my suggestion to move away from Zoom. So I will do my best to not betray that trust. So let me go ahead and we'll move on to the next one. Peter, will Kansasfest be back in person next year?
Yes, that is the plan. The virtual event is fantastic for people who aren't able to travel. However, a critical piece of the experience of Kansasfest, the friendships, the community, the after hours discussions and conversations really only happens in person. And that's what everyone here experienced when they first came to Kansasfest. I think that's what makes Kansasfest unique.
I agree. I think a big part of it is being in person. I remember that the first virtual event was largely just sort of a stopgap solution. But the draw is always to be there in person with your friends if possible. So, Martin, my understanding is that the KFES Planning Committee will be soliciting suggestions for locations. Can you talk maybe a little bit about the process of how those suggestions can be submitted?
Yeah. So we've done some work to pull together a fairly detailed list of the potential criteria and evaluations and really goals, things that we're looking for in the the ideal venue, which probably doesn't exist, right? You've got to have something to shoot for. But the ideal venue and what it would look like and what it can do for us. And then the challenge is to find those places that are out there that fit that role the best. Nothing's going to be 100%, but we don't want to have to settle for 56% either. And in the past, a lot of work was done by a very small number of people to come up with the choice of UIS for 2024. And it worked out pretty well. It hit a lot of the goals, not all of them. I would say it's definitely a candidate for the next in-person. But we also want to know is what else is out there that we're missing. And it is a lot of work. So the best way to do it is to crowdsource it. And so we've, apart from that very detailed criteria document, which is I know it's linked on one of our web pages on the Kansasfest website. I can't think off the top of my head where that is, but hopefully Peter or Chris can join in and let people know how to find that. But in addition, right on the very front end, there's just a really short input form, which basically allows you to. Oh, thank you very much, Ron. Yeah, so there's the URL for just a very quick intake form. Tell us your name and your email address and whether you've been to Kansasfest before or not, and then give us an idea for a venue. It's just a free text field. Just give us your thoughts. Let us know. It can be as short or as long as you like. You may have more or less familiarity with a certain place that you think might work really well. Let us know about it, and we'd love to work with the community to find out more about these places and see what we can do to come up with a spectacular event in 2026.
Absolutely. It's I like the simplicity of the form. I actually went out and filled it out today. It's just a couple little questions: your name, how to contact you, and tell us about a venue. It's very it's very quick. So somebody wrote in chat. I don't know the link for the simple questionnaire form. Was that the long form?
No, we posted the link that you posted there is actually the long form, but
Okay.
we also have another link somewhere which I don't have.
I think it went out in email today, didn't it? That was part of the email that was earlier today.
I don't believe it was part of the email. I just posted the short form link to the chat, and I'll make sure it goes out over email as well.
Okay, that's great. And we can always add it to the description of this video that you're watching right now, so that way if somebody is following up later. So sorry to put the wrong. Oh, there we go. Hey, that's great. Okay, wonderful. So that'll make it easy for folks. But we can also add it to the notes and things like that, so people will be able to see all that. So, okay. Well, let me go ahead and do you want to whoever, there we go, and clear that. Okay. So this might be a tough one. This next question is probably going to be a tough one. So there was a survey that was sent out last September, and the results were never made public. Will the results of that survey, obviously it would probably have to make sure that it retracts anybody's personal information, things like that, but just the broad strokes of that survey, will that be available at some point in the future?
Maybe. I'm open to sharing that survey. There was a lot of good information that people shared. Everyone in the community spent hours going over the individual comments, looking for patterns, trends, feedback from that survey. So I really appreciate the feedback that everyone gave. There was some internal disagreement about how to interpret and apply the results of that survey, though. And I think it's worth the community revisiting that and sharing at least parts of that. Anybody else here have thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, Peter, I think what you said is all accurate. I mean, I think the only caveat that I might add is that we are in a very different place now, I would say, as both a committee and also as the community from when we initially released the survey, or put out the survey and got the responses. And so I think once assuming that we do release at least some of it or all of it or whatever like that, I think people would have to just kind of take that into account. Is at that point we were still in the midst of trying to decide between Springfield versus Wichita, and there was a lot of other issues that we were potentially thinking about during that survey. But overall, yeah, I agree that it might be good to just kind of get it out there, clear the air. And I'm echoing somehow.
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's no intent to keep the results of the survey secret. We just need to be thoughtful about how to interpret and apply that in a constructive way.
Absolutely. Here's another one. Some of these questions came in through Discord earlier today. I want to remind people that are in the chat, if you do have questions for the Kansas Fest committee, and it may not necessarily just be something specifically about the 2025 event or what's being looked at in the 2026. If you have questions about the organization, you have questions about how Kansas Fest arrives at decisions on things, that's probably all germane to this conversation this evening. So we would probably love to hear those questions from folks. Be sure to get them in the chat. We'll be sure to star them. And then here at the very end, we'll be certain to swing around to that and make sure that as much information that can be shared will be shared. Here's another one. This did come through on Discord earlier today, but what steps are going to be taken in the future to ensure the health and safety of K-Fest attendees? And what will be done to make sure that the conference is accessible to everyone, including those with invisible disabilities?
Yeah, that's an important question, a tough question. And right now we're listening to feedback about what makes sense for the venue, what makes sense for the policies around the venue. A big part of our motivation for opening up the venue search is to get your feedback about what's important, and also discuss what accessibility and inclusiveness mean to everybody, recognizing that sometimes those terms are loaded. Sometimes those terms mean different things to different people. The things that different people need to make a conference or anything else accessible and inclusive are different from other people. And we're doing our best to find the intersection of all those needs. And if we can't meet some of those needs, we'll be open about it. We want people to know that the organizers for this conference listen, they understand the concerns, and if we weren't able to meet those, I want everyone to feel that it's not because they were ignored or that their contributions aren't important.
Can I add one more thing, Ron?
Please.
I guess the only thing I would add is that in the past, I think we've viewed Kansas Fest as a chance to have to throw a party, right? And I love that phrase. I think Sean was the one who emphasizes that we're trying to throw a party and we're trying to throw a really good one, and it's to celebrate the Apple II. And I think we never really had to worry, or at least we thought we didn't have to worry about who we were promoting it to, and maybe who we were targeting with our messaging and with the conference. But I think we've all had to maybe come to the realization over the last few years is that maybe in doing that, we actually were missing a large segment of the population, and just by pretending to not think about it, or just not thinking about it, not even pretending to. Maybe there is a large group that we were missing. And so I think by at least now raising the issue, trying to think about it, talking about it, and like Peter said, a lot of these terms can be very contentious, and but at least maybe by getting it out there and actually focusing on that more, we can reach a broader audience. So that's kind of our hope.
Absolutely. Has there been a statement from the committee about why we did not go back to UIS this year?
We haven't published an official statement. There was an announcement about shifting away from WSU to virtual. Didn't get into details. I think you're listening to some of those statements right now, though.
Yeah. There have been a few questions in chat that we will definitely get to in just a second. But some things that I've seen kind of going by that talk about accessibility and such, and just from someone who is like, I am not a member of the committee. I am an attendee who just really cares and really wants to see this event continue and really wants my friends to get along. And I want people to get together and to that party and have a good time. But I think that there will have to be, both in the committee and in the community, a couple of realizations. And one of those is that we're an increasingly aging group. And if we don't make investments in attracting people that are going to come in after us to continue the hobby, then the hobby dies. And I don't want to see that. For a very long time, this hobby was largely a get-together, good time party. And somewhere along the way, as our hair got a little grayer, it turned into a conservation hobby. It turned into, we've got all these machines, we've got all the hardware preserved. Now people are going and they're preserving the stories. And they're getting young people interested in learning about, it's all this new stuff is really, really cool. Don't get me wrong. New cars are amazing. But have you ever stuck your head under a car and got out your timing light and had to fix a problem, or experienced kind of where we were and how we got there? And there's more and more young people that are getting interested in that. But the only way that you can attract those people is by meeting them where they live. And those young people don't have a lot of patience for other people or organizations that are not welcoming to their friends. And who are their friends? Their friends are people that maybe don't necessarily look like them or look like the constituency of KFES as it exists today. And that's that demographic change that I was mentioning in the opening, is that this younger people, if you want this hobby to continue, if you are satisfied with the idea that the hobby dies with you, you might still be in the hobby for the wrong reasons. That's a very inward facing point of view. That's a very selfish way to look at this. If you look at all these amazing things and all the people that we may never meet that have made contributions, that have built careers for us, that have created this hobby space where we have met so many amazing, cool people. If other people weren't watering that tree, it would have been chopped down forever ago and turned into paper, and that would have been it. So we have a responsibility to make things open, to make things inclusive, to make sure that people are taken care of. There was a comment earlier that kind of talked about like the politics of things. I'm not going to talk politics, but I'll certainly say that there are a lot of things that people confuse for politics. Like there's that meme that you see where it shows the people standing behind a fence and they give everybody the same size box, and that doesn't help some of the people. Or they give one person a box and it's way too tall and it blocks other people. My question is, why is there a fence? Tear down the fence and let everybody come in and enjoy this thing that we've all worked so hard to preserve and so hard to encourage and so hard to promote to our friends, like to the point where they're sick of hearing about it. So if we can do those things, I think that we will all get to a nice place where we can all agree and be friendly again. So I would, don't look at it through a lens of us versus them. Don't look at it through a lens of like somebody's moving my cheese. Because here's the deal. It's not your hobby anymore. It's not my hobby anymore. It's the people that are going to come after us. The people, that next generation, the people that are going to be, this is not the original crew. I mean, Sean's been here a very long time, and thank you for all your contributions and being a good friend, Sean. But, you know, there were people here before. There were people here that set this off. And if it wasn't for caring people that came afterwards, it would be long gone. So I just encourage everybody to have that attitude of service, that attitude of kindness, and I think that we'll all get to a good place together. And I hope that you join me there for sure. All right, let's take a look at maybe some of the questions that were in that were presented here in chat. Eric says, "What do you mean by inclusive?" Well, since I made that comment, I think the thing that I just said was a great primer for that. It's making sure that we're taking care of our friends, and not just taking care of the friends that we already know. We're taking care of the friends that we've not met yet. And that can mean making sure that we pick an ADA compliant location, which again, that's part of a technical issue of picking a venue. But if you pick a place that's nothing but stairs and you don't think about including people that have mobility issues, that's not being inclusive. So I would say that, you know, a place that addresses people's needs, and that could be making sure that it's a safe place for people to travel as they get to your venue, or making sure that there's a safe ride share for people. Because I know that there's the ride share lobby that's on the Discord, making sure that you provide resources like that for people to contact each other and do those things. It's a big issue, but it really just comes down to being kind and making sure that we're taking care of people and making it easy for them to participate. If I'm completely wrong in that, folks are welcome to tell me I'm wrong.
I think you're spot on. I appreciate that. And a big part of it is recognizing that the Apple II community, the Kansasfest community is diverse. It's international. We come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different ideas, and we need to go out of our way to understand what those differences are, so that we can, as Ron said, create an event where everybody who wants to come is welcome.
And I think that we are on the right road. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it's certainly I certainly think that we're moving in the right direction. And again, I hope that people are patient. It's very easy to want something to turn on a dime, but there's a lot of people to listen to and consider. So I appreciate everyone's patience with me, especially, and I appreciate, as a member of the community, other people in the community that have been patient with the Kansasfest committee. Here's a question from Steve. Steve says, regarding openness, how are committee members selected or chosen?
Yeah, I can start off with that. Over the last few months, there's been quite a bit of change in the committee composition. Sean has stepped away. I moved into the role of president. Chris up to vice president. Jay's taken on the role of treasurer. We also have Martin, James, and Javier on the committee. Kirk and Vince have been in the committee for a long time. Just this week, they stepped away, recognizing that they have commitments elsewhere. I appreciate that everything that both Kirk and Vince have done over the decades. I still remember coming to Kansasfest for the first time and seeing Kirk manning the grill and Vince leading the Replica One workshop. We are looking right now for new leadership, new people to join the planning committee. It's a lot of work to put these conferences together, especially the in-person conferences, especially when we're looking at a new venue. So if you think you have the right skills, the time, the commitment, please reach out to me and we'll see where that can go. Chris, do you want to talk a bit more about how we've historically selected committee members?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the past it's really been just a recognition by the current committee as to looking at the community, and especially the people that actually came year after year to Kansas Fest. And really, Sean is probably the person who could talk the best about this. But it's just kind of recognizing who we see, who is dedicated, who's staying after the talks to clean up the chairs unasked, and who is helping to set up set out the food for lunch, and who's willing to maybe dedicate their time to design a graphic or something. And so it was just reaching out to those folks and just asking them if they were willing to step up and be part of the planning committee. And I think to some degree we want to continue that. We'll if we definitely see someone who is stepping up, we'll ask them. But at the same time, you also need to be careful that you don't end up choosing people who in some sense kind of look like you, and that's not looking like you physically, but just looking maybe the same demographic, the same whatever. I mean, that we all have those biases, and we also don't know the skills of people who are there. Maybe there's somebody that they're not comfortable setting up chairs, but they'd love to work behind the scenes on the website, and we need that as well. And so that's why I think what Peter said about we really want people to reach out to us. And so if you feel like you would maybe potentially be able to contribute, and you have the time and energy, believe it or not, despite the last few years and all the trauma, we actually do have a good time, and we are. I think we're a fun group. It seems like we can have fun. And I think we're also getting back to a place where we will have fun. And so it can be a lot of fun. I would definitely say that. And it's rewarding. So if you feel like you want to try that, then definitely reach out to us. And it's not, you could do it for 1 or 2 years and then decide it's not up to you. Don't feel like you're in it for 10 years or anything like that. So yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, some people come on the committee as, I'll call them generalists. They're not quite sure what they're doing, but they want to continue that experience, that friendship and community they experience themselves or other people. Other people can come on with specific skill sets, specific goals, and focus on that, and make part of the event better for everybody. I appreciate that too.
And I'll say that just from as an attendee in the past, there's lots of times where I was standing around. Like the first year, I didn't really do anything other than just observe, because I didn't understand. You certainly don't want to step on anybody's toes, and I think that a lot of people are like, "Hey, I'm not, I'm here, but I don't know exactly what to do, and I don't want to make anybody mad, so I'm going to stand back." But in the years after that first year, as I saw people like struggling to do things where it's like, oh my gosh, these guys are having to carry all these pizzas in, or like just holding doors while people move and things like that. I saw more and more people stepping into those roles where it was just like they saw the need and they just went and took care of it. Like it was like, okay, we're out of paper towels or something. Somebody just ran and got paper towels and brought it back. And it's those little small contributions that make these events happen too. So I like you guys were saying, there's not like too small of a role that people can't make contributions on. It's not a 40-hour-a-week gig. Sometimes it's just like little kindnesses that kind of keep this all moving forward. So I appreciate everything the committee has done, but I certainly appreciate all the people that saw me walking up to a door with like arms full of stuff to drop in garage giveaway and didn't just leave me to rot outside. They went and they swiped the door and they let me in and we're like, do you got more stuff in the car? Do you need help? And I think that's the community that's been built here. And so I hope that some of those people will see this as an opportunity to step up and maybe make that additional step with a more formalized commitment.
Plus, the committee membership thing is it is a more of a time commitment. It's more of a year-round thing. Not the entire year, but a large part of it. Meeting regularly and figuring out what needs to be done, what needs to be different from last time, or or just a standard task that comes up every single time. So it is more of a commitment of time there, but we've also had help in the past from a lot of volunteers who've just been fantastic at doing certain things, and what they're able to do. They weren't a formally member of the committee as such, but like there was a wonderful gentleman, Carl Knobloch, who took care of the scheduling the ride sharing back and forth between the KC airport and the Rockhurst campus, and he just went ahead and did it. That was his thing. He was just an amazing volunteer.
Awesome. I love hearing stories like that. I love folks lending a hand. Here's another question. Dan had asked, has the committee considered shifting to a model where membership with dues in an organization is the initial step for having a voice in discussions?
Yes, we have thought about that. There's still a lot to think through. There's challenges implementing that model, ensuring that it's fair and equitable. But I'd like to continue that conversation. If that's what people want, then I'm open to it.
Sort of a skin in the game kind of model. I know that there are some organizations that will have things set up to where the people like the committee and things like that maybe don't make a direct financial contribution, but then members that don't make that time contribution kind of shore things up. So yeah, I'm certain that there are maybe some conversations to have about all that, but I guess keeping in mind that kind of what the history of the organization is and all. So it'll be interesting to hear.
Yeah, I think that's uniquely challenging for Kansasfest because our attendees, our membership, if you will, is global, and we have different needs. And how do we make sure that the potentially global needs of everyone are weighed equally?
Absolutely. All right, here's another question, and don't forget, folks, we've still got a few minutes left, so certainly get those questions in if you have them. Mark asks, not unique to Kansas. Been in the KC area all of my life and fought for equality. The government of the United States is not representative of all people. So are we not allowed to go to certain states? I don't know. I want to make sure that we understand. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you want me to say something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that's a valid point, right? I mean, I think that this kind of goes back to how we're going to choose the venue. I think, like Martin was saying, no one place, at least not that I can think of, is going to be 100% perfect, and you'll always be able to potentially find issues. So it's going to be a balance, but I think that when we look at different regions of the country, states, cities, whatever kind of division you want to put on it, I mean, I think it becomes clear that some places can just be more welcoming, and we've heard feedback from the community, and we've talked about the survey earlier, and that was one of the questions, was how important is the issue of rights for certain people to you as a community member. And it was extremely important. I mean, the survey result clearly said that that was important. But then, of course, that also has to be balanced against other things. Does the location actually have elevators? Does it have ADA compliant bathrooms? And so it's going to be a balance. But I would say going forward, we are definitely going to take that into account as one of the criteria. And then if you go to the links that we posted earlier, you can see all the different criteria that we're using. And one of those is the inclusivity of the venue and the state where it's located.
Absolutely. So I just it's definitely one of those things. There's been a lot of fist swinging and a lot of people that are just trying to live their lives that have had to defend themselves against that. And so it's, again, not being political. I just want to see people treated fairly and with respect and treated kindly more than anything else. And I think the way you do that is you start with things that are in your control, including things like where you hold the party that you want your friends to come to, that you want people that look just like you, but you're people that don't look just like you. The friends you've known your whole life and the friends that you haven't met yet. And the way you do that is by listening to people and being respectful and trying to make things as inclusive and safe for as many people as possible. All right. So I didn't really see a whole lot of other questions kind of coming through here. I had some silly questions. If you guys to kind of like as the cooling dessert at the end of a meal, perhaps if you guys will put up with my my silly nonsense for just a few minutes. So let me go ahead and I'm going to paste my questions into chat so I can bring them up here. As soon as it reports, there we go. Okay, since K-Fest is virtual this year, that means no garage giveaway, which is unfortunate. But can I just bring my e-waste image writers to your houses directly, or will you guys provide me with a shipping label? I just wasn't clear on it, so I wanted to find out from the committee what could be done.
First of all, this question kind of offends me because you're putting image writers in the category of e-waste. I have an image writer 2 right behind me here on my desk. I have 2 more in the closet, and I wouldn't mind having another one.
Okay.
For me, image
Okay,
writers
I got
are part
one
of my
taker.
experience
Got
with
one
Apple
taker.
too.
Actually, I love the Image Writer series. I have actually Javier helped me recently finish up my collection. So I've got like an original Image Writer. I've got the 2 for, well, not even the 2, but the Image Writer that was styled for like the 2C and all of that. And then I have an Image Writer 2, and I've got an Image Writer 2L, so the later one that's got additional memory. I've got an original Image Writer wide, the wide carriage original Image Writer, and an Image Writer LQ. So I feel like I've got 1,000 pounds of impact printers now. I feel like I've made it.
You'll need those image writer 2s to build a fort for the upcoming zombie apocalypse.
Probably so.
Slightly more seriously, there is a swap meet channel over at Discord, and this is an opportunity to get rid of the stuff you don't want, get the stuff you do want. It's not quite the garage giveaway, but it's as close as we can get with virtual.
Yeah.
And no, I will not send you a... Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
No, please finish. Sorry.
I think that was enough.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that is a great place to make connections with people, especially if you're looking for something weird or something that you've been having problems maybe finding in your neck of the woods. Yeah, definitely head over to the Discord and keep talking and talk to other people, because somebody knows the answer. Somebody has had that problem. Somebody knows exactly what to do to get that resolved, or has the e-waste that they would love to send to your house. My last question, and I think this is the most important one, would be: does virtual bite the bag still taste like the inside cover of a Mac Week?
Absolutely. And Ron, I am also offended, just like Peter, because you didn't call it Roger Wagner's Bite the Bag. Because for those of you that don't know, I think he was the originator of Bite the Bag. And in fact, when he came back in 2018 and was the keynote speaker, we did an honorary Bite the Bag event. And he actually came in second place, I believe, and just barely missed out having the crown. But to answer your question, yes, we'll be doing a virtual Bite the Bag. I'll start probably with the bag, and anybody who wants to sign up, I'll take a bite out of it. I'll mail it to you. You mail it to the next person, and then we'll bring it to Kansas 2026.
Ugh. Are you doing everything you can to preserve the sogginess
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
If you didn't have an emergent lip fungus problem, you will afterwards. Actually, no. It's you peel the top off. And there's some funny videos of it online. People should definitely go and watch it. But I always thought that was a funny thing, like a party game that people played and stuff. So I always thought that was really great. It has never been played since I've been there, I don't think, or at least where I saw it taking place. But folks are a lot older since then. So, all right. Well, I think that is mostly everything that we kind of were hoping to kind of discuss tonight. Is there anything else that anybody wanted to bring up that just wasn't covered? Okay.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, no problem. The thing that I would cap this off with would be I want to make sure to thank everybody in the audience, and we did get some very good questions. I saw some lively debate out there that was very, very civil, and I think that's the most important thing. In a world today where things are very, very polarized, it's nice to see that people can disagree about things, but remember that we are all friends. And we need to respect our friends and love our friends and make sure that we're not doing things that hurt each other needlessly. There is enough pain, there is enough injury out in the world for us to turn on each other and be causing slights and problems for each other in this space. So if we start from a position of kindness and understanding and listening, I think we'll go really, really far, not just in K-Fest, but in the hobby, but in life too. So remember that tonight isn't the end of the conversation. If you're watching this on a replay, there is the Discord channel. I fully encourage people to join up, to get out there and keep the conversation going. Join Discord, keep talking. But more important, keep listening. It's you already know what you think. You already know what you believe. Listen to other people. I think you'll be a better person for it. So, all right, everybody. I want to thank the committee once again for taking time and spending it here. Folks have a lot to do on their Friday nights, so it means a lot that everybody took time out. So, thank you again to everybody in the chat. I don't know if I can do the Discord, but if you, what's the name of the Discord? It's just Kansas Fest. It's easy to find. If you search the Discord central directory, it's the only one called Kansas Fest.
And I'll send a link out to the Discord as well. So if you have trouble, feel free to contact me directly. But I do want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. I want to thank Ron for offering to moderate this discussion and potentially jumping into this some of these challenges and helping us sort it out. I want to thank all the community members who are here tonight, and most of all, I want to thank everyone who cares enough to join this chat tonight, and I look forward to continuing this discussion. Thank you again.
Absolutely. And again, many thanks to Kirk, and many thanks to Vince for sorry, my brain. I always get like rock star stuff caught in my head when I think about Vince. I think Vince Neil, and it's Vince, not Vince Neil. Sorry. So sorry to Vince, but thank you to Vince and everybody for their contributions, and thank you to the K-Fest committee for everything you guys have done. Thanks one and all. So everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.